Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss viral keratitis. There are two types of viral keratitis, herpes simplex keratitis and herpes zoster keratitis. First of all, we will discuss herpes simplex and viral keratitis. It is caused by herpes simplex virus, which is a double-stranded DNA virus. It has two subtypes, herpes simplex virus 1 and herpes simplex virus 2. These all reside in almost all neural ganglia. These are your MCQ questions. Herpes simplex virus 1 causes infection above the waist, mainly face, lips and eyes, while herpes simplex virus 2 causes venereally acquired infection and causing genital herpes. Herpes simplex virus transmission is facilitated in conditions of crowding and poor hygiene. There are two types of herpes simplex infection, primary infection and secondary infection. First of all, we will discuss primary infection. Primary infection, as name indicates, there is no previous viral exposure and it usually occurs in childhood and it is uncommon during first 6 months of life due to protection from maternal antibodies. Primary infections spread by droplet transmission or less frequently by direct inoculation. It is a subclinical with mild symptoms and symptoms may be lid vesicles as you see in this picture. These are lid vesicles, small vesicle in the lower lid, or patient can present with blepharitis or follicular conjunctivitis. Primary herpes simplex infection is usually self-limiting and if treatment required, it could be topical acyclovir ointment for the eye and for lid vesicles you can prescribe acyclovir ointment. What happens after primary infection? The virus from eye, it goes into the trigeminal ganglion. This is trigeminal ganglion. It resides there in a latent stage. But a variety of stresses like fever, hormonal changes, ultraviolet radiation, trauma, or trigeminal injury may cause clinical reactivation of this virus. And this virus from trigeminal ganglion, it goes to the eye. And in the eye, it goes to the cornea and cause the herpes simplex viral keratitis. Herpes simplex viral keratitis is most infectious cause of corneal blindness in developed countries, and 60% of corneal ulcers in developing countries may be the result of herpes simplex virus. It is not only clinically important, but it is also important from the examination point of view. I am sharing with you a CQ. A 40-year male present in OPD with complaints of mild discomfort and redness in his right eye for 3 days. He also has fever from last 7 days. On slit lamp examination, there is a branching ulcer in the center of the cornea. What is your diagnosis? What are the other signs you would like to see? And what are the treatment? This is the SCQ which is most frequently asked. Now come again to the herpes simplex keratitis. What are the symptoms? You can see herpes simplex keratitis at any age. Patient can present with mild discomfort, redness, photophobia, watering or mild vision blurring. In these pictures, you can see dendritic keratitis. These are thin linear branching epithelial ulceration with club-shaped terminal bulbs at the end of each branch. You can see these are branching ulcers. These are branching ulcers and terminal bulbs with terminal bulbs at this end of these branches. This is your MCQ question. Shape of ulcer in cases of herpes simplex is branch-like and branch end of each branch having terminal bulbs. This is your MCQ question. Now you will stain the herpes simplex keratitis either with rose bengal or with fluorescein. Again, this is your MCQ. The rose bengal stain the edges of the ulcer, while center of the ulcer can be stained with fluorescein. Corneal sensitivity may be reduced in these cases, and in healed cases you can see ghost dendrites or scar beneath the epithelial lesion. In this picture you can see this is the staining of the ulcer with the rose bengal. This is a red color, and this is the staining of the ulcer with fluorescein. Rose bengal will stain the edges of the ulcer, and fluorescein will stain the bed of the ulcer. And in this picture you can appreciate also the blue filter which is used in cases of slit lamp examination when we apply the fluorescein. So in this picture you can see this is a dendritic ulcer, and here is the geographic ulcer. Now the transformation from dendritic ulcer into a geographic ulcer is due to inadvertent topical use of steroid, which may lead to progressive enlargement of this dendritic ulcer into amoeba shaped geographic ulcer. In herpes simplex viral keratitis, diagnosis is made mainly on clinical picture, and the clinical picture is dendritic or geographic ulcer, reduced corneal sensitivity. No lab investigation is required for the diagnosis of herpes simplex viral keratitis. Now, what is the differential diagnosis? Differential diagnosis is herpes zoster keratitis, healing corneal abrasion, acanthamoeba keratitis, epithelial rejection in cases of corneal graft, and toxic keratopathy secondary to topical medication. Now come to the treatment. We can treat either with topical acyclovir 3% ointment. We will prescribe it 5 times a day, or Gencyclovir 0.15% gel is again applied 5 times a day. In cases of geographic ulcer, we will prescribe above antiviral ointment, but in cases of dendritic ulcer, debridement may be useful. Topical cycloplegic can be prescribed if you see anterior chamber activity on slit lamp, and topical lubricant is required if epithelial defect persists. Now we will discuss herpes zoster ophthalmicus, which is second type of viral keratitis. This term is used for shingles involving the dermatome supplied by ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. Varicella zoster virus is the causating agent. This virus causes both chickenpox and shingles. After an episode of chickenpox, this virus travels in a retrograde manner to the dorsal root and cranial nerve sensory ganglia, where it remains dormant for decades. It reactivates when the subject immunity decreases or at the old age. Herpes zoster ophthalmicus is nearly always unilateral. It doesn't cross the midline. It is bilateral only in disseminated zoster, seen only in immunocompromised patients. In this picture, you can clearly appreciate the unilateral involvement of herpes zoster ophthalmicus. There is midline respect of the lesion. You can see only in the right half of the lesion. It doesn't cross the midline. The risk of ocular involvement, number one, is the Hutchinson sign. What is Hutchinson sign? This sign strongly correlates with the ocular involvement. It is vesical eruption in the area of skin supplied by the external nasal nerve, which is a branch of nasociliary nerve, and they supply the tip, side, and root of the nose. So whenever you see vesical eruption which involve the tip of the nose, side, and root of the nose, you can strongly predict that there may be ocular involvement of herpes zoster ophthalmicus. Second is the age. Herpes zoster ophthalmicus most frequently seen in 6th and 7th decade, and there is more chances of herpes zoster ophthalmicus in patients with AIDS. There are two mechanisms of ocular involvement. First is the direct ocular viral invasion, and this may cause conjunctivitis and epithelial keratitis, while secondary inflammation and occlusive vasculitis may cause episcleritis, scleritis, keratitis, uveitis, optic neuritis, and cranial nerve palsy. Now come to the symptoms. Patient may present with fever, malaise, and headache with severe pain along the distribution of the trigeminal nerve. This may be followed by erythematous skin lesion with macule, papule, vesicle, pustules, and crusting lesion in the distribution of the trigeminal. When you examine the cornea of the patient in slit lamp, you will find the dendritic lesion, which are smaller and finer than the herpes simplex dendrites. These dendrites have tapered end without terminal bulbs. You can appreciate in this picture branching pattern of corneal ulcer. These are branches, and these branches have tapered end rather than terminal bulbs. The other sign you will see in the cornea is the nummular keratitis. Nummular keratitis is a fine granular subepithelial deposits surrounding by halo or stromal haze. You can appreciate in this picture, these are nummular keratitis, which are subepithelial deposits, and there may also stromal keratitis. When stroma involved, there is infiltration of virus within the stroma after invading the epithelium. There may be stromal keratitis. Anterior uveitis affect at least one-third of patients and can be associated with sectoral iris atrophy and ischemia. In this picture, you can appreciate circumcorneal congestion, which is a very typical sign of anterior uveitis, and this is a area of iris ischemia and atrophy. You can see these are grayish white area of iris ischemia and atrophy. This is a normal iris, which is brownish color. Other signs of herpes zoster ophthalmicus are conjunctivitis, which may be follicular or papillary. There may be episcleritis, scleritis, and sclerokeratitis. There may be secondary rise in intraocular pressure. The neurological complications of this disease are third, fourth, and sixth cranial nerve palsy. There may be optic neuritis, although intracranial manifestations are rare, but if there are, they may be encephalitis, cranial arteritis, or Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now come to the treatment. Treatment is oral acyclovir tablets, 800 mg, that must be started within 72 hours after diagnosis, and it should be recommended for 10 days. We will give to the patient topical steroid, usually dexamethasone, QID, in cases where there is uveitis, scleritis, sclerokeratitis. We will recommend topical lubricants, and for neurotrophic ulcer, we will advise tarsorrhaphy. Tarsorrhaphy is basically surgical adhesion of both upper and lower lid so as to prevent the corneal perforation. In cases of dense scarring, penetrating keratoplasty is recommended. This is all about viral keratitis. Thank you for your attention.